guys, it's Tricky Nick here. Merry Christmas, everyone. Oh boy, what a year it's been for me. I reached 5,000 subscribers, had my first and second video to ever reach 100k views, and I became severely sleep deprived. That's okay though, my daughter's fantastic, but I really can't screw this first Christmas up. She has yet to ever participate in a Christmas dinner or even smash the celebratory Nintendo Switch Sports set. Die! 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 How can I make this Christmas perfect? I've got an idea! I'm gonna find my daughter the perfect kart racing game to give to her as her first ever Christmas present. That way, she'll know how truly amazing this genre of games is. Now, all I have to do is pick a kart racing game to give her. Uh-oh. Kart Racers. What a massive genre of games that all stem from one pixely mess. Yeah, it's not surprising to me that Super Mario Kart was the pioneer of kart racers. It wasn't the very first kart racer. That award goes to Power Drift. Boring. But Super Mario Kart was what really popularized kart racing games in the 90s. It established a bunch of the common tropes that we still see today in kart racing games. Item-based combat, drifting, a cast of wacky characters, you name it, Super Mario Kart had it. Unless, of course, you say good graphics. Yeah, that was a huge drawback of most of the kart racers at this time. This blocky mess never fails to make me nauseous while playing, and it's not unique to Super Mario Kart. If you want to hear my full thoughts on that game specifically, though, you can go see my review of the game. But since I don't think my daughter would enjoy Super Mario Kart, I'm gonna move on. As the popularity of Super Mario Kart grew at an unprecedented rate, though, it gave rise to the Mario Kart ripoffs. Games that take the classic drive around the track thrice and hope your placement's nice formula that Mario Kart created and just copy it. Then, as a finishing touch, they slap a bunch of their own characters on the box and call it a day. I reviewed a few of these in the past on Chet Garbison's game show named that Mario Kart ripoff, but that didn't end well for me. So logic says, let's circle back to them. Sonic Drift for the Game Gear is a prime example of a Mario Kart ripoff. There is little done to distinguish the gameplay of Sonic Drift from Super Mario Kart. Just like Super Mario Kart, this game is butt ugly. I'd say more so than Super Mario Kart. I'll give it credit where credit is due though. Sonic Drift was technically portable if you are willing to carry around this. That's a whole lot of brick. With these very early kart racing games, there were a lot of kinks that needed to be worked out. Mode 7 graphics made the depth perception poor, the screen being split in half made the already pixelated graphics even less coherent, and as a consequence of this, the controls were horrible. But Mario Kart ripoffs didn't stop at Sonic. In fact, they're pretty much the reason kart racing exists as a genre today. Basically, any IP you can name will have a kart racer very akin to the mustachioed man's. And I think that's great. If it weren't for Mario Kart's influence, the kart racing genre as we know it wouldn't exist, so I'm very grateful for it. That doesn't mean it holds up, though.
What was that?
Ooh, this is really good content.
Oh my gosh, it's the ghost of kart racing past!
Yeah, Tricky Nick, huh? What's good? Heard you were bashing some of my games.
Well, it's just that these games don't really hold up well in the modern era. Kart racing has come so far.
You shut your dirty mouth, you son of a—
Okay, let's just cool it. This is a family-friendly channel. I'll make a deal with you. If you can name a 2D kart racer that holds up well today, I'll take back everything I've said.
You know what, Tricky Nick? You're wrong. We got the one with the wheels and the car. Yeah, no, you got me, Tricky Nick. I got nothing.
Oh my god!
Well, in 1996, the kart racing genre did something totally unexpected. It added a dimension. Oh my god, this is perfect! It was only natural to bring kart racers into 3D, especially since that fixed so many of the graphical issues. It's still ugly. Yeah, I'll admit, the early 3D kart racers were a massive step up from the absolute gonorrhea that was Super Mario Kart, but they were far from perfect. However, the transition to 3D was such a breath of fresh air for kart racers, and they suddenly proliferated. Tons and tons of popular franchises began making wacky kart racers. Crash Bandicoot Racing, Mickey's Speedway USA, F-Zero X, Diddy Kong Racing, Lego Racers, South Park Rally were all N64 kart racers very akin to Mario Kart. And this was only a fraction of the racing games on N64. But this is where a problem began to arise. Two very different types of kart racing games began to emerge at this point, causing a divide. There were the Mario Kart-esque games that featured racers from already well-established franchises, and then there were the more generic kart racers with real cars and real vehicular manslaughter. While the Mario Kart type games were all about family fun and zany antics, the more realistic kart racers focused on being just that. Realistic. One of the most popular of these games was Gran Turismo. This game was filled with over 140 cars from the real world, which is impressive especially for 1997 standards. The goal of this game is to level up your driver's license while racing around against other cars. While I can understand and appreciate why this game was so critically and commercially successful, I don't like it. This style of kart racer always felt so much less personal to me, despite it having way more customization than a game like Mario Kart. Even with games today as expansive as Forza Horizon, I rarely find a realistic kart racer that I enjoy as much as the cartoonish ones. Maybe it's because I'm not a car guy, can you tell? But I'll always have so much more admiration for a game like Mario Kart 64 than Gran Turismo. The less realistic kart racers are far more appealing to me for a few reasons. For one, the rosters of the game. In a game like Gran Turismo, the roster doesn't even really exist. With a game like Mario Kart 64, you have the ability to race as 8 iconic Mario characters, all of which are unique from one another. But past the purely cosmetic reasons for my love of cartoonish kart racers, there is also the more appealing gameplay. Why is it more appealing? Mostly items. Items add so much chaos to a typical race, and they can be used to attack other players, gain speed boosts, and even bomb innocent bystanders. It creates a much more hectic environment to be racing in, and I'd take this over a more realistic game any day. Because when push comes to shove, I'm not playing a game for its realism. I'm playing it to escape the bland and boring world. Why would you want to pretend to drive around in a Toyota Corolla when you could just go outside and hijack a real one? Plus, the more chaotic racers are typically the more popular ones. That could also just be due to the fact that Wario's got a dumpy.
Alright, so I'm definitely not a fan of realistic kart racers. Let's just cross those all off my list.
3 days later.
Okay, that should do it for those. Let's also cross off all the early 3D kart racers.
3 weeks later.
But that still leaves a ton of kart racers. Where do I look next? Hey, Tricky Nick. Former game show host and person I held hostage, Chet Garbison?
You better believe it, and I've come back to guide you to the next part of your kart racing journey. And also because you pay me for it.
Thank you so much, Chet. I hope that whole me taking you hostage on your own game show thing didn't ruin our relationship. I'd really hate for you to resent me because of that.
Hey, it's water under the bridge. Hey, since I'm telling you what kart races you should talk about next, I guess that kind of makes me the ghost of kart racing present?
Yeah, and you really will be a ghost if you keep trying to steal the show. Now enough with the chit-chat. What kart racer do I pick?
Well, you don't like realistic racing games, so why not just look at all your favorite
Put a
racing
sock in it, Chet. I've got an idea. What if I look at all my favorite kart racers from over the years?
But I just said...
Looking back at all the kart racers I've loved over the years, I've gotta start with Mario Kart. As if Mario Kart wasn't already dominating the kart racing scene, with every new entry, Nintendo innovated the kart racing genre more and more. Super Mario Kart established the genre, Mario Kart Super Circuit brought it onto the go, Mario Kart Double Dash explored the concept of 2 racers per kart, Mario Kart DS made Mario Kart on the go, but it's actually good this time. It also had Waluigi Pinball, it also had Rob. Yeah, this game pretty much established the trope of weird and wacky out there character that no one saw coming into the kart racing scene. It's the reason we got Funky Kong and Mario Kart Wii and Wiggler in Mario Kart 7. Speaking of which, Mario Kart Wii added motion controls and Coconut Mall. Mario Kart 7 added gliders and submarine propellers, as well as probably the most underrated course lineup. Mario Kart 8 had anti-gravity, and last but least, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's there alright. So here's the problem with current Mario Kart. It's dormant. The last time Nintendo made a brand new mainline Mario Kart game, I was in elementary school. I have a kid now. Seriously, the lack of Mario Kart content has been downright ridiculous. Like, sure, waves of DLC courses for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe spices up the 8-year-old game, but it doesn't innovate. It's not like adding new courses is going to permanently fix the boredom people feel when playing this stale game. While yes, I do believe courses are extremely important to making a good kart racer, they aren't the proper fix in this case. Nintendo is merely delaying the inevitable by adding courses to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. If they're not going to make a new Mario Kart to continue innovating the kart racing genre, a new contender is going to take the throne. In fact, we're already seeing multiple different games try. Nickelodeon Kart Racers. I didn't say they were all worthy contenders. To demonstrate how Nintendo is being lazy by not making a new Mario Kart, Nickelodeon has made 3 kart racers for the Nintendo Switch alone. The issue with this? They're not that good. Sadly, try as they may, Nickelodeon could not kick it with the big boys. Don't get me wrong, I love Nickelodeon characters, and to see them racing together brings me so much joy. But a good roster isn't going to carry a trilogy of kart racers on the same console. In fact, the roster, the one great part about these games, kind of fell off hard with Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3, as it began adding SpongeBob Camp Coral characters into the mix. For those of you who don't know, Camp Coral is a new SpongeBob spin-off made despite the fact that the late Steven Hillenburg said he never wanted SpongeBob spin-offs. So not only is this marketing a bad spin-off, but it's a spin-off made to cash in on a beloved creator's work against his wishes. That's double sad. But apart from that, the roster of Nickelodeon Kart Racers games are pretty freaking awesome. But then you play the actual game, realize it's very slow and boring, clunky to control, and rips off almost everything from Mario Kart with little to add. So, Nickelodeon Kart Racers is definitely not the kind of game I want to catch my child playing. But hey, at least it's not Crazy Frog Racer. As shocking as this is to say, there actually might be a Nintendo Switch kart racer that has possibly outdone Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel. I already reviewed this game in a previous video, but that was before I actually played the original Crash Bandicoot games. Now that I've played the Crash Bandicoot trilogy and Crash Bandicoot 4, I like Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled even more. It nails every aspect of what I've come to expect out of a good kart racer. A solid roster filled with series staples and wacky obscure additions, competitive high quality gameplay, unique courses, the list goes on and on. It also takes the item-based gameplay and emphasizes it a little bit less than Mario Kart. On top of that, drifting is timing based, upping the skill required to maneuver well. This creates a balance where skill is required to win races, but there's still that element of chaos brought to the game by the items. It's just slightly subdued to make a really nice game. Overall, Crash Team Racing took everything about Mario Kart and improved upon it ever so slightly to create an amazing kart racer. Then there's the adventure mode, and all of a sudden you realize Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is looking like a real waste of $60. There is literally an entire storyline where you collect items and fight bosses within courses to unlock new characters. So not only is it a great addition to encourage single player, but it also makes unlocking characters feel way more fulfilling because you need the adventure mode to get all the characters. Mario Kart DS kinda tinkered with this idea with the mission mode, but it was not as cool as what's featured in Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. That is extremely difficult for me to say as a Mario Kart DS fan. The only issue I find with Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is that it's based on a not so popular series, at least compared to Mario. Yeah, as much as I love Crash Bandicoot, it's just nowhere near as popular as Mario. This kind of makes the game a little more obscure and brings it down a little bit. Apart from being based on a slightly less popular series though, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled outdoes Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in every department and even creates some new departments of its own just to really stick it to Nintendo. Now, while I am quite the stickler when it comes to quality control on my kart racers, there is but one exception. Beach Buggy Racing. This game was the epitome of fun for my friends and I back in the day. The character abilities are wild, the controls are so slippery, the items are broken, and it all comes together to form this magical experience. It's so flawed that it actually becomes good. The theming isn't anything too crazy, but it's unique enough that it doesn't feel generic. Yeah, I am well aware that this is far from a well-crafted kart racer, but that's exactly the reason it's so fun. All the glitches and janky mechanics create some hilarious moments. I remember in one single play session, my brother made the game crash when he used a lightning bolt, and my friend and I clipped under the map during one of the key deciding races. Normally these kind of things are rage-inducing, but here it's not because they happen to literally everyone all the time. If Mario Kart has the chaos dial at a 10, Beach Buggy Racing has it at a 642. An absolute masterpiece of mania. Totally earns the name Beach Buggy Racing. The last big racing franchise that I'd be remiss not to mention is Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. Sega has always kind of been in Nintendo's shadow, and sadly for Sega, that's no different here. I'm gonna be honest, I've had little experience with this franchise past the 3DS entry, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed. Well, that's a mouthful. But what I did play of it was pretty cool. I especially love playing the Super Monkey Ball characters and maps because that's my favorite Sega game. Yeah, don't at me. I like it better than Sonic. Sonic Frontiers more like Super Bunky Wonky Banana Mania. Since I can't really speak to the fan service of this game outside of the few Monkey Ball and Sonic games I've played, I'm gonna mainly focus on the gameplay for the purposes of boring. In terms of gameplay, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing is a lot like a lobotomized Mario Kart. The items are slightly less interesting, the controls are a little worse, and the courses have a mismatched style. But like I said before, I have limited experience with these games, so I can't speak much to the quality of the entire series. With all this being said, the kart racers that I've covered are still just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many other kart racers out there that I've played, but it would take literally hours to get through them all. Like I said before, any IP you could think of will probably have a kart racer, so insert whatever you like here and it will likely have a kart racing game. You want an M&M's kart racer? Boom, M&M's kart racing. You want a Smurfs kart racer? Boom, Smurf racers. You want a freaking Madagascar kart racer? Hello? Now, I'd love to dive into each and every kart racer I've played, but that would be nearly impossible. So sadly, I just had to keep it to my personal highlights. Plus, my daughter probably wouldn't care much for a game like M&M Kart Racing anyways. So, it's time for me to make a choice. I need to pick a kart racing game to get for my baby's first Christmas. Oh no, what do I do? Do I go with Crash Team Racing and risk her never finding a love for Mario? Do I get her Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and risk her getting bored with the series if it stays dormant for too long? Do I get her Beach Buggy Racing and then she thinks all the kart racing games are poorly made and she doesn't want to play anymore? Do I get her Mario Kart DS because it's my favorite kart racer of all time, but then I'm really biased against that game and it has some flaws? Do I get her Nickelodeon Kart Racers and well, that one's a definite no. This is such a tough choice to make that I feel like I might even break out into a song. What do I do? How can I possibly decide? Oh, what the f—
Where am I?
The future. I'm the ghost of kart racing future. I've come to show you the future if you pick the wrong kart racer to give your daughter.
Oh no. How bad is it in the future? Has civilization collapsed as we know it? Has robo-rabies killed off the human race?
No, it's worse. In the time limit you give your daughter the wrong kart racer, this is what happens to the genre as a whole.
Oh no, this can't be! How can I prevent this?
Well, for one you could use contracept. Oh, you mean the bad racing games? Well, it's quite simple. Just pick the right kart racer to give your daughter and you won't set off a chain of events that leads to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Well, what are my chances of choosing correctly?
I'd say one of about 69,420, since how so many kart races have been made.
Wait, that doesn't seem right. My chances are basically impossible.
That's probably because I was lying. Anyway, enough chit-chatting. It's time for you to decide. What kart racer are you getting for your daughter?
I don't know. I can't take this. It's too much pressure. No! 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 Ow!
Oh god, it's already Christmas Eve. What am I gonna do? Wait, I've got it. I know what kart racing game to get my daughter. I've been overthinking this too much. The answer is so simple. The kart racer for my daughter isn't the one I've been seeking out this whole video. It's the kart racer that's been inside of us all along.
That's lame.
You shut your mouth!
Where was I? Oh yeah, because at the end of the day, Christmas is all about the spirit of kart racing and the people you enjoy playing it with. So that means the answer to all my problems and what to get was right here.
Well, that's about right.